and every story can change the world. Together we are Global Speakers Talk.
Hello, a very good morning, good afternoon, and a good evening to you. Yes, the wait is over. We have got the most handsome personality with us, none other than the Steve Robbins with us. A very welcome to you, Steve. So nice of you
Thank
for
you.
being with us.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much. And before you say anything, let me read out a small introduction about you. Here is a person who has raised in traveling new age polyamorous hippie community. Howard MBA, Steve Robbins coaches executives to perform in the C-suite. He is a veteran of nine startups. My God, startups helped redesign Harvard Business School's foundational skills program and project managed the world's first downloadable financial statement. Great. He has written four books, co-written one musical. He sings. He doesn't dance very well, but attends Burning Man. You will come to know what it is. And accidentally co-founded a regional Burning Man event, which grew to 120 volunteers in 3 weeks. He has MBA from Harvard, a bachelor's from MIT, and a master trainer allied of neurolinguistic programming. And Steve, including your detail, as you are one of the unique person. Every day you get up, you face exam. Either you appear for the exam, or you guide someone to give the exam, or you take the exam. So, my first question in the introduction is, what would you say if I ask you, Steve, what is the final exam of life? Platform is
Well,
yours. Steve, please.
thank you. Uh, the final exam for life actually comes from a dream that I had. And in the dream, I was talking to God. And God offered to give me the final exam so that I could prepare for it. And being a smart student, I said, absolutely. And the final exam for life has just three questions on it, but they're not necessarily easy. Question number one is: did you make the most of the life that you were given? Did you live it to its fullest, whatever that means to you? Not to society, not to the world, to you. Did you live your life to the fullest? Question number two is: you've got this amazing planet here on which to live your life to its fullest, but there's 8 billion other people who also need to live their lives to the fullest. Were you a good steward for the planet and for the resources and the things that everyone around you needs to be able to live their lives as well? And question number three is: did you help everyone around you do the same, live their lives and be a good steward? And if you can answer yes to all three questions, you have definitely passed the final exam to life. But of course, very few of us can answer yes to all three questions.
Wow, wonderful. In just answering three questions, you have given the whole philosophy of life. Great, very correct. Well, beside that, you are the one who has achieved success in perhaps shortest time. So, for you, Steve, what success principles should we ignore in order to live an extraordinary life? Because as a person achieves success, he gets completely out of balancing, but you are the one still you are balanced. So let me repeat my question again: what success principles should we ignore in order to live an extraordinary life? What would you answer, Steve, please?
A lot of times we apply the principles that we have taught more broadly or in the wrong places. And there are four in particular that I certainly learned when I was young. And during the times in my life when I have not lived by these, I have actually found that in many ways my life has been richer, which was very unexpected. This started as an explicit experiment. And the four are: number one, setting goals and working backwards. That's a great way to do a small project, and it's a great way to do a medium-sized project. It is not a great way to live a life, because as you live your life, the goals that you want will change. If you have kids, they will change. If you suffer a major change in circumstances, they will change. The second one is planning. We love the idea that someone can tell us how to get from here to there. Unfortunately, a lot of times plans don't actually work. They are made up sequences of events that someone uses to explain their own success, but by their very nature, plans are extremely limited. So don't be too attached to a plan. It might help you think things through, but it won't necessarily give you the path all the way to success. The third one is deferred gratification. There's a whole thing about, marshmallows, the kids who could wait to eat more marshmallows instead of eating smaller numbers of marshmallows soon. They supposedly lived amazing, incredible lives. Deferred gratification. The trick here is it's possible to defer gratification way too long, and you get hit by a car before you've ever gotten to the gratification part, and you've lived a life of nothing but being deferred. So it's
Right.
important to balance your long-term and your short-term, um, your long-term and your short-term combinations. And then the last one for me is about what do you primarily pursue? Do you primarily pursue meaning, or do you
Mhm.
pursue success? And the conventional wisdom is, oh, make your money, and then when you can retire, or when you make your billions, then you can do the meaningful things and give back, et cetera, et cetera. Or there are people who live their lives through meaning and through fulfillment. They do those things, and then they hope that they make a living halfway through, uh, or they hope they make a living as they do it. Um, I would simply say that choose carefully, but understand both paths can lead to being successful and happy. It's just they require different approaches to life.
Oh, well, Steve, each and every answer that you are giving itself has got heap of questions and so deep meaning into it. Oh, great. Well, here is the question where I remember one of my favorite author, Adam Limsey, who was once asked, and the same question I am asking you, and that is, how do you do what you love and still have the money flow?
Ah, there was a self-help book, I think, or it might have been a spirituality book several years ago that said, "Do what you love, and the money will follow." I don't actually believe that. Um, I believe that if you do what you love, you get to do what you love. And if the money happens to follow, great, maybe not. What you need to do is understand how to do what you love while pursuing the money. Sometimes the money can come about as a result of doing what you love. For example, I have a friend who loved going to Renaissance fairs. And ultimately, what he did is he bought a plot of land and he created a Renaissance fair, and he has been growing it for more than, I think, 15 years. And it is now one of the largest Renaissance fairs on the continent. And in this case, he did what he loved and he found a way to make it profitable. I have other friends who make their living doing things like acting or performing in some fashion. For them, the performing doesn't always pay what they want it to pay. For some lucky people, it does. For a lot, it doesn't. So, in their case, what they need to do is find day jobs find ways of working so that they can have the flexibility to perform in the evenings. If they're an actor, they need to be able to go to auditions and rehearsals. So in their case, do what you love and still be successful is not being paid for what they love. In their case, the way that it works is they find a way to make money, but they constrain the way they make money such that they are still free to pursue their passion in whatever constraints need to be set up. That was slightly incoherent at the end, but I hope it made sense.
Yes, and the answer that you give, and that too with the examples, are really very effective, no doubt, because it's very difficult to balance between money and the work that you like. But still, people are
Yes.
there who choose the work that they like, they let go money. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, here is my next question for you, Steve. If you were 25 right now, what would you do differently? We have many listeners who want to know this.
I would buy Apple stock. um, that, yeah, so I think that I personally, this relates to the question you just asked right before, is
Right.
that I personally have hopped back and forth between doing the things that I love, doing the things that make money, but I've never committed fully to either one. So when doing the things that I love, I was always busy thinking, oh, is this going to build a long term career for me? And when doing the things that made money, I was always thinking, oh gosh, well, I don't, I'm not having fun here. This isn't meaningful enough. I'm not saving the world. And I think a far better strategy is to, um, I don't know if people know the term time boxing, but time boxing means reserving a particular period of time. And then during that period of time, really focusing and throwing yourself into whatever it is you're doing. I would recommend time boxing my life if I were talking to
Oh,
25-year-old me. And I would say, you know what? If you want to pursue your desire to do musical theater, which is one of my passion projects that I haven't even done in 15 years, but if I wanted to pursue that, I would say take 3 years and really go for it. Just
well,
commit to it. Do it all the way. And then at the end of 3 years, stop and reevaluate. And that part is important. You have to do the stopping and reevaluating, or else this doesn't work. And then if you decide to make money, great, but do it for 3 years. And at the end of the 3 years, stop and say, how, did I like this? Was I able to stick with it? Um, does my life need more meaning? Or at the end of the musical theater, does my life need more money? But I would tell myself, instead of trying to have it all at the same time, try to have it all sequentially and really commit and focus into yeah into each thing.
yes, yes. As you said, if it is in the sequential, it makes life better, easier, not for you, but for everyone. You're very correct.
Yeah.
I loved your answer. Right. And Steve, during your career, your working environment, you must have come across so many type of people of different head, different personality, different experience and all. And out of them, how you choose one to be a loyal friend and how you ignore. Is there any criteria, or can you please guide the youth to choose a loyal friend?
Well, you know what? I will tell you. I'll tell you what I do, and there's really two elements to this. One of them is you actually just said the magic word, which is loyal. And one of the things that I look for in a friend, and I'm going to reduce this down to simple behavior, is somebody who calls me back or somebody who reaches out. If I always have to be the person to reach out, if I'm always the person to initiate connection, then then for me that does not work. Loyalty, friendship has to be a two-way street. Both people have to be taking action to make it happen. Um, and I would say obviously, but this may not be obvious. You're looking for friends who share enough of your values that you have things to talk about, that you are relaxed with each other, and that you can trust each other. But you also want people who are different enough that you have things that you can learn from each other. And it's a similarity difference thing that, in my experience, I mean, I have a friend who I've had for 40 years, and in some ways we're very, very alike, and in other ways we are ridiculously different. And it's always fascinating to get together and talk, because we can use our similarities as the foundation for connection, and then our differences as the frontiers for exploration. And I would say, when you find people like that, establish a habit of keeping in touch. Keeping in touch with people. And I don't mean on Facebook looking at their feed. I mean making sure to reach out and have conversations with them one on one, by voice, by video, in person, even. Shock. It is the 21st century, but we can still do in person conversations. But don't assume that you do want other people who reciprocate, but don't assume that they will be the ones to initiate, because a lot of people don't. And
No, we don't.
the people who do end up being central, and end up being super connectors, and end up being the people who everyone knows and respects, because they're actually out there making an effort. And that effort makes a really good impression on the people on the receiving end of that effort.
Wow. Well, because throughout my all person who are having the senior citizen like me, they have got not thousands, but so many friends, and it's very difficult to keep contact with them. But as you said, at least you must have few and with whom you must keep contact. You
Yeah.
must keep contact. Yes.
And if I want to just say something about the senior citizen part. So first of all, I'm older than I look. I am not a senior citizen yet, but I'm getting closer. Uh, but number two, make sure to make friends with people younger than you. Don't just
Oh,
make friends with, because a lot of networking advice is find senior people, make friends with people who can help you. Right. And then they retire, or they die, or they move away. You need to constantly be making friends with people older than you, same age as you, and younger than you. And the older you get, the more you need younger people, because the old ones are retiring, moving away. I had a friend, my friend Frances, was 107, I believe,
oh,
when she died. And she told me once, she it was so funny. She told me once about the need to have friendships and relationships. She had friends who were in their early 20s when she was in her 90s. Now think about that. That meant that they were born when she was in her 70s, but somehow in her 90s she was still making friends with people. And she was making friends with people who were young enough to be her great grandchildren. So it's very important to remember that friendship crosses generational boundaries. It goes up, it goes down, and the older you get, the more you want to have a rich tapestry of people younger than you, as well as people older, and then you can connect them, and you can point out to which of them can help out the others, and you can build a whole community of people who are mutually supportive, who share the same values, and who all think you're wonderful. And how great is that?
great. Well, your all answers are so philosophical, so serious, so deep. Let me break my vehicle, take it in the other direction, and let me ask few rapid fire questions. And if possible, we will come again, because I have got so many questions to be asked. And here is the first question, as for the rapid fire question, for which I request you to reply in the shortest possible way. And that is, did going to Harvard Business School give you an extraordinary life? What's your answer, Steve?
In some ways, yes, and in some ways, it inhibited one.
Okay.
And if you want to know
Okay.
more, you'll have to ask me back.
I know I will, but there are a few other questions where I want to ask you in this detail. If needed, we will come back to this question again. Well, the second question is, what one thing that should people pay attention to create the life of their dream?
Your feelings and your intuition and what they
Oh,
are guiding you to do. Your intellect will tell you how to get there, but it's your feelings and your intuition that will tell you where to go.
beautiful. And does size matter? Is having a 60-inch TV really better than having a 23-inch TV?
Well, depending on your eyesight, maybe. However,
Oh,
um, however, no. And it's easy to lose sight of that because you spend the first part of your life in an acquisition phase, and you don't realize that at some point the new things, that extra 12 inches on the TV, doesn't matter. You're still watching the same shows.
yes. And have you ever had a mohawk? Mohawk is a hairstyle that you keep hair in the between and the shaving it from both the sides. If so, why? And if not, why not?
I, I dreamt about trying one. So I grew up in the 1970s and I had
Oh,
interactions with the punk subculture. And I had always wanted a mohawk, but never had the courage to do it. And finally, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was going to Burning Man and I said, now's the time. And I went ahead and got a mohawk, and it was bright blue and green and it was gorgeous. And I looked terrible with a mohawk. I have never had one again.
I can imagine the way you describe yourself. Oh, great.
Oh,
Well, and
yeah.
how much money has your wearing a suit policy cost you over the course of your career?
I would probably say at least a couple $1 million. Uh,
Oh,
and
is it?
oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And I never really noticed it because I'm not very money oriented. But
Mhm,
one day I suddenly realized I don't like
mhm.
wearing suits, and I have made choices purely on the basis of I would have to wear a suit every day if I took that particular contract or that job. And in retrospect, I look at that and I go, what was I thinking? However, at the time, it seemed like a good decision.
Great. Yes. And I read somewhere that the a tailor used to cost the suit based on the client's not money or position, but where clients want to use that suit. Wow, and you are one of them. Great. Well, Steve, who's your favorite celebrity and why?
Oh, my favorite celebrity. Um, that's a good one. I don't know that I actually have a favorite. I like them all, but I am actually particularly fond of Christian Campbell, who is a small actor. He was the headliner in the show Reefer Madness, and he is a friend of mine. And he is a very thoughtful, fascinating person who is committed to doing good for the world in whatever ways he can. And he is
Mhm.
creative and clever. And those are all the reasons.
Well, here is my next question, and that's what the agiest thing that you have ever done. Agiest is a particular community who mainly are live and charged during night. And what would be your answer?
I'm not sure I understand the what is the word? The what community?
What's the agiest thing you have ever done?
Um, probably going to Burning Man,
Huh?
and
Yes. And are you still
I
going?
well, not right now. I mean, right now I'm at home,
Good.
but uh, I am debating whether or not to go this year. I would like to go. I would like to be there. I don't know if I want to go through the amount of work that it takes to get there or not.
And I'm confused. How do you balance yourself in a life of those type of people and life with a quite totally different type of people? And for that, for you, what is the role of money in having an extraordinary life? What do you say?
Well, those are two different questions. Um, how I balance the two is I show up I show up in each community totally as a member of that community, and a lot of them don't even know that I'm a member of the other community. The exception is that I find that the Burning Man community has a certain amount of status in the business
Yes.
community now. So I will talk about my experiences with Burning Man, but I stay in my business persona while I'm doing it. Um, and as far as the role of money, money enables you to have certain kinds of experiences. It is, I couldn't go to Burning Man without the ability to fly out there, to be able to afford the materials to build my camp, to be able to afford to stay in a hotel, to rent a car. I mean, all of the things that go into it. So money enables a variety of experience. What it doesn't do is it doesn't help you appreciate the experience more. In fact, for people who have a lot of money, it can devalue the experience because they get habituated to it. Um, Neither does it help you choose which experiences are worth having. I know some people who are very, very wealthy, and I look at their lives, and every time I do, the only thought I have is, how could somebody with the ability to do anything they want choose a life where they are doing the exact same thing every other rich person does? Great, you have the yacht. Great, you have the mansion. Great, you have the private jet. But what do you do with it? Do you fly any place interesting, or do you just go the same place everyone else goes? Like, it's very weird to me. I don't understand money. My brain was not. I was raised as a hippie. My brain was not built to understand money. It was built to understand dancing around bonfires, doing Sufi stick dancing.
Yes, I recollect this. In my country, basically, I belong to India, and we have got a tribe. They keep on moving, and they are, for me, they are the one who are grounded. They are the one who are connected with nature. And here also, I am in Australia. We have got a Australian original people, Aboriginal, and they too are. I studied them. I met few of them, and I found that they have the a power to literally suck or get energy from the source or from the universe. For that, I would definitely ask you that how the especially the book The Secret has influenced you, and what you would advise. I read that book for 22 times.
Well, interestingly, I am friends with multiple people who appear in The Secret.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Wow. Who
you,
are they? Who are they?
Marcy Shimoff and Jack Canfield
Uh-huh.
are both friends of mine.
Wow.
Um, so that's an interesting one, because what I the secret. So first of all, there's been some research done on The Secret, and if you're going to practice it, you want to make some modifications to it. But there's a book called Rethinking Positive Thinking, which details 30 or 40 years worth of research into visualization and feeling and how that affects your ability to achieve things. Um, the Secret is both a violation and an affirmation of everything else we've talked about, because I say don't use goals, and The Secret says actually visualize what you want, and have a representation of that. And I think so. I want to make a distinction between a goal and a vision. I think a vision, almost by definition, is not plannable. It is a broad destination that you want to be, that you want to go in, and a broad destination where you want to be. So for something like The Secret, I would say use your visualization, use your intention to really make large intentions that can guide your life. Because if it's big enough to guide your life, you're going to bring everything, all of your resources to bear, and you're going to head in that direction. If you visualize too small, then it becomes a plan and a goal, and it suddenly stops engaging you at the level of inspiration and simply becomes, okay, now I have to do steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I think that can take you away from the inspiration part of it, which is the part that keeps you moving.
But still, I have not understood the answer that you have given. Because I'm thinking that Steve, a person, of course, who thinks big, no doubt, but ultimately he comes back to the smaller things only. And perhaps he is enjoying in doing the smaller things only. What do you say?
Oh, I am not saying you have to achieve the big thing. I'm
Hmm.
saying the big thing is for motivation. It's for setting a direction.
Oh,
Okay. So if my big thing is to save the planet, the way I may choose to do that is by mindfully eating so I stop when I'm full.
correct.
It- it's not that I have this goal that I have to reach. It's that I have a direction that can inform my life in service of whatever things I do choose to pursue.
Okay. And in connection to that, I have another question that I see the world in three parts. One is developed, one is developing, and one is underdeveloped. And I think that the developed nations, they literally suck everything that underdeveloped or the developing countries have. What's your advice or a lesson to these developing countries? Because I am in Melbourne and my grandchildren, my God, the way they use everything, I feel bad for that.
Boy, the I can tell you my structural answer, and my structural answer is that we need to normalize defaulting on debt because it is debt that enables the leverage that lets the richer countries suck the resources out of the poorer countries. Um, Debt is the most incredible. I mean, it's very powerful in what it lets us do, but we have turned it into a system of control. And this happens not just across countries, it happens within a country just to individuals. I mean, at America, we have an entire generation of people who have so much educational debt that basically every cent they ever make is going to go to the banks. And I look at that and I say, we need a debt jubilee, and the banks need to take a very serious hit, and they need to learn not to do that in the future. But we have given debt the power. We've given debt the absolute power of everything. We have elevated it to like the highest level of moral, ethical. Well, I would say not ethical, but to the highest level of like moral absolutist. And I just think that's wrong. And I think that's the linchpin that holds the entire system together at the moment.
Yes, it makes sense.
Um,
And especially for the young generation, I always advise. And what would be your advice? Because they don't understand anything about saving or investment or preserving.
yeah. Well, are you referring to what is my financial advice?
Perfect.
Okay. It's very simple. Forget so people have told you a lot of stuff in your life. They've said work hard, they have said create value. If you look at the way that money flows, those are not the places that money flows. The places that money flows are to the people who own things. That is literal. I mean, the system is called capitalism. And that's because the people who provide the capital, in other words, they own the equities in the company, they own the debt instruments, they own the property, they get all of the extra wealth created by everyone else. And if your goal is financial security, own things. Don't spend, I mean, if you spend your money, then you're going to own, different things, but own things. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is the part that people don't say out loud. Own things that give you a claim on a portion of the wealth that other people create. I don't like that. If I were designing an economy, that's not how it would be set up, but that is how our economy is set up, like it or not. And if you want to be financially successful, the best way to do that, and that's, by the way, what investing is. Investing is giving someone money, and in return, you get a portion of the excess wealth that they create. Um, and look for that and do it. And I don't like that system, but yet that's the system we're in.
Yes, I hope that
So
the young generation who are listening to you will definitely take a note of this and they will apply it. And here is
yes,
my
or
last question. Yes, please, please,
oh,
please.
I say
You're saying
or
something.
change the system. But I don't know how to change the system from inside of it. Uh, And I'm not a fan of violent revolution. So
And time do not permit me to ask other questions because we are already over
uh-oh.
time. But still, here is I can't stop myself asking you questions and questions. Well, one of the question is, as I have experience, you have got hundreds of ways to spend money. Show me one way to earn money. This is the quote which was given by person like you to the young generation. So, where the young generation should find out their way to make money.
See, that's a tricky one in the age of AI, because the answer to that question is probably different this year than it was 5 years ago. Um, I would say so. What I just said a moment ago is that the wealth flows to the people who own things at this point, not necessarily the people who do things. So, um, in order to get the wealth, in order to earn money, you need to find a way of being valuable to the people who own things. And traditionally, the way that people have done that is by working for them and by being employees. That may or may not work for you, depending upon the profession that you're going into. So I would say keep a very sharp lookout. Things are changing year by year, so I think it's impossible to try to predict what the future is going to look like 5 years from now. Learn how to detect what other people need and what they value, and then find ways of giving it to them. And I'm leaving that very abstract because you need to be able to do that in many different situations, and you will need to be able to do that in different contexts throughout your life. So, when someone says to you, "Oh, gee, I wish we had blah, blah, blah," write that down and figure out, can you provide blah, blah, blah to that person or to people in general? Because that's the only way you're going to be making money in the future, is by finding those unmet needs. And more needs are not going to be met by humans. They're going to be met by AI. And that's going to be an interesting world.
Yes, I don't know what the AI would do, but whatever it does, that would be in the interest of the mankind, I think. Well, so many questions I have asked and so many answers you have given. Each and every answer has got, again, much and much deeper meaning to it. I'm sure those who are listening now or those who will be listening, they will definitely get a lot to make their life much better, because you are the one who has achieved success in a very short span of time. But I can't stop myself asking one more question, and that is, there are people who are born with no amenity or no financial support. Still, they come up and they reach the highest stage. What is that? And what one person should follow for that?
Uh, some of that is luck. In fact, I
Mm-hmm.
would I would suggest a lot of it is luck, right place at right time. You can't control luck, but what you can control is the amount of opportunity that comes by. And the way you
Okay.
control opportunity is through relationships and friendships, because
Oh,
you will primarily encounter opportunity because people know you and they think of you when something comes up. So make yourself known, make yourself valuable to people, and put yourself in places where there are a lot of people and a lot of churn and a lot of opportunity going by, and keep a lookout. And when something comes by where you can be part of making it happen, make sure that people are thinking of you, and make sure that you have the skills and the ability to jump on that opportunity and be an important part of creating that value.
great. Superb. Yes, I will remember it. Good. Well, Steve, time is,
Well,
couldn't
thank you for
find that
having
day.
me.
We just, still, I'm thinking that we have not even started. But, well, on behalf of our platform, I pray Almighty God to give you all strength, all wisdom, all power, all time, all surrounding environment, that please, the work that you are keeping, do keep up, do continue it, so that world needs people like you, who are not only experienced but knowledgeable with experience. And with one more request, as and when we need person like you, may I request you to spare your valuable time and be with us so that with you we can spread this message to the world. Once again, a heap of thanks to you, and once again, platform to you. Please, if you want to say anything else.
You know, don't settle for any, remember the final exam of life. Do not settle for anything less than living your life to the fullest, because money can come and money can go, but
Hmm?
no one can ever take your experience. And that's what you need to
Please,
optimize for.
please repeat it again. Please repeat again. Money can come and money can go, but
Go. But no one can ever take away the experiences that you've had. So,
beautiful, beautiful,
you know,
beautiful. Well, as
final
per our
exam.
hymn, we say namaste to you. Namaste means may God. I bow down to the God that you have in your heart. So nice of you. See you soon. Thank
Thank you
you
very
once
much.
again.
Together we are global speakers talk.